Hi guys, Samantha from GSMA Tutorials here, and today I'm going to be doing something a little different. So what I've got here is a piece of white polymer clay that has been rolled out on the, I'd say third thinnest setting of my pasta machine, so roughly a millimetre thick. And what we're going to be doing with this today is I'm actually going to be just kind of painting it and doing fun patterns on it, and I'm going to be putting it inside a little photo frame. It's different from what I usually do. I've never actually done something like this before, but I just wanted to have fun today. So just got a piece of white polymer clay here, and this is actually going to be the back because the other side is whiter. Now I've just burnished it down already to make it as flat as I can, and in the middle, there you go. And I've got a little piece of cardboard here. It came inside the photo frame, which will allow me to know how large I need to cut the piece. And this didn't actually use up as much clay as I thought it would be. If you only use a really thin piece of clay, then you can actually cover quite a large space with only a small amount. So just trim up those edges, and of course what I'm doing here today you could apply to pendants as well. You don't have to put it into a photo frame, but we're basically just kind of having a bit of fun today. So I'll just trim that up. There we go, and that should do. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into the oven for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature, because this is cream white polymer clay. And I might give it a little sand just to get off some of that, any little bits of grime that might have come from the pasta machine, and just to kind of smooth it out. And then we're going to be painting with acrylic paint and alcohol inks. Okay, and here it is out of the oven. When it comes out, if it's baked properly, you should be able to bend it without any snapping. Choose the cleanest side that you like. This one is the side that I'm going to be using. Does not need to be perfectly clean. I'm quite happy with how that looks. And also just check that it fits in your photo frame. This one does, but you might want to check that before doing anything with it. Then I've got a couple pieces of white paper here, just any plain printing paper should work. You can use cardboard as well. And what I've done is I've cut out these two shapes using these blades. You can use any shapes you want, but we're going to be using this to paint little strips onto the piece, so I wanted them to match. All I do is I place them down onto the paper, hold them down, and then I will use a craft knife to trim around the edge, and that is how I get the shape. Again, any shape that you want will work. We're just going to use this to create some hard lines in the piece. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that over again, and I'm going to start working with some blue alcohol inks, and these are the ones that I am using. And any colour alcohol inks you want will work. I'm going to be using a variety of blues and some browns as well, along with gold. So I'll pop those down. And I also have a little alcohol ink dabber here, and that will help us place the pieces on. And now I'm going to grab piece of the paper, and I'm just going to place it roughly where I want. It doesn't matter if it moves around a little bit, I just want to create a rough edge. Okay. And then I will dab some ink on, hold this down, and then just dab that around. Going to add different colour ink, and the reason I bake the clay before doing this is because the alcohol ink won't soak directly into the clay, and so you'll end up getting a sharper pattern. I'm just going to focus the edge a little there. Okay, and I will leave it at that. Remove that out of the way. And I'm not too worried about it having a smear there, that's fine. We're going to be adding other things in the meantime, but you do want to let that dry for just a bit. Okay, gave it some time to dry. Then I'm going to take the other cutter, because when you cut these shapes out you will have two pieces. So I'm going to grab this, I'm just going to place that over this, leaving a little bit of overlap line. And let's see, I will use a different shape this time. Line that up so that it looks nice. I have swapped out to a different pad for the alcohol ink, and I am going to bring over two browns. These are the two that I'm using, and those are pretty much all the alcohol ink colours I'm using today. And I'm going to repeat the process that we just did. If you want to tape these down, you can, but I want it to look a little messy. So just tap some of the ink down. Okay. And I will just hold them a little in place. Or I will do that, that's fine. And this is really just a over my shoulder video. I just wanted to create something fun and see how it went. So it's up to you whether you want to do this. This is just to have fun. You can put anything you want in the photo frame. There, lift that up. We got a little bit of carryover, that's perfectly fine. I just want a rough line like what we've got there. And then I'm going to repeat this process going blue, brown, the whole way down the piece, and then we're going to start adding in some details like little gold painted doodles and things like that. Okay, so I haven't gone the whole way down. I want to just point out here that I have left a white strip because we're going to be painting gold there, and this one I only did the light blue alcohol ink rather than both dark and light blue alcohol ink. But now this bit, we're getting kind of the same pattern here, which I like, but I think it's going to be boring if I do it the whole way down the piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try out something different. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to leave a decently sized white strip down there. And I'm going to grab the brown inks and just tap those on, and I actually should do that away from my piece. There we go. So just take both of those and try to wet the spots that you'd already got on that specific colour so that it doesn't blend together. There we go. Hold that down, and I'm going to actually kind of blend it so that we don't have so much dots as it is actually blended inks. Then I'm going to swap out the cap. Stick that on, and I'm going to put on some of the blue ink, both colours. That'll do. Hold this down again, shouldn't be completely necessary, but I'm going to paint down here. And when I'm doing this, I'm kind of smudging. There we go. And you can see how we got some of the blue overlapping there. I'm going to swap out the thing one more time, and I shouldn't need to add more ink to this, there should still be some on. And I'm going to overlap some of the brown onto the blue there. There we go. And you can see how we get those really nice bubble effects, which is another reason why I did why I baked this beforehand, because you only really get that on the baked clay rather than the raw clay. I put a little bit more brown on here, and I'm just going to dab that over the surface because I really like those bubbles. Okay, and I will leave it at that. so we've got a little bit more variation. Okay, now I am going to bring over some gold acrylic paint. Just going to shake that up, and it's just gold, any gold acrylic paint will work. And I'm just going to put a little bit down here in a strip because I'm going to be using my blade for this, and just smear that out so that it's not in a big puddle. Okay, clean my finger. Gonna grab this shaped blade over here, and let's see, I am doing it this way around. Why am I confused here? Okay, there we go. Sorry, I had a bit of a brain fuzz there. I'm just going to paint a bit of this onto the top of the blade, like so. And I'm going to make sure that I don't have too much paint on there, just a little bit. So I'll tap it off to the side here. And then I'm going to lightly tap that paint along the line. Like so. And I'll do the same for it over here. This one I think I'll make more of a solid line. And if you press down and then lift up quickly, you'll actually get kind of this dendrite effect, which I think looks nice. I'm not going to overdo that. I'm going to bring over the other blade, just different shape. Going to do the same thing. Get some paint on there. And I'm just going to do it on this line here. I'm also going to press down hard and lift up to get that dendrite effect. Okay, and that should do. You can go clean those blades off. Okay. Then I've got myself a ball tool here, and while this paint is still wet, I'm just going to tap the ball tool and in this segment here I am going to just stipple in a effect. I'm going to have some slight overlap, but I want to keep a lot of the white as well. Okay, and there we go. Now moving forward, just bear in mind that this paint, we've got some fairly thick areas, and so it's going to take a little while to dry, so just try not to have your hand anywhere where it might smudge. Now I've got a little alcohol ink marker here, and this is basically just got isopropyl alcohol in it, so it's going to make the ink move around. So you can use a paintbrush instead if you want, but I find it's easier to create patterns with a pen. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put here, and I'm going to draw a pattern, and I just want to do these little stripes the whole way along, and that pen might need to be cleaned every once in a while, so I will just run it over a piece of paper every once in a while. But that's a nice way to get the ink moving. And there we go. And then you can use the marker to create any other patterns you want. Like down here, I want to create some squiggles. Let's see if I can do that. I might need to work that a little bit. And again, just have fun. This is supposed to be just a general, almost like an inspiration video. I'm not really teaching anything specific here. Just have fun. Okay, there we go. Now, I have pop this into the oven for 5 minutes just to make sure that everything is dry. You should be able to put your hand over this and not have it be sticky. And I'm going to bring over a stencil that I think looks quite nice. And I am going to move it around so that I can fit it over here, like so. I want to put it in that pot over there. And I'm going to grab some gold paint, pop a little bit down. Again, it's the same colour. I like to work with the same colour gold across because golds seem to vary wildly in colours. So once you choose a gold, I think it's best to stick with one type. And I'm just going to use my final paint dabber, and I'm going to hold this down, and I'm going to try to stay in the lines. I am going to cross over a little bit, that's fine. And I don't want them to be like full on gold. I want the impression of a round to be there, but not for it to be perfectly painted in round. I want that kind of splotchy effect still. Alright, that should work. Take this, lift it up, and that's just the starting point. Clean your stencil and allow that to dry. Okay, I also did the same thing up here. Now I'm going to introduce a little bit of white paint to the situation. This is just white acrylic paint. I'm going to pop a little bit down, don't need too much. And I'm going to be placing it around here. And it's basically the same situation. Let me grab my stencil. Give me one moment to do that. Choose a spot that you like. I'm going to use this bit along here. And I'm going to leave the gold on the thing. It should have dried a little bit, but it will tint the paint a little bit. There we go. Okay, this time I'm going to be a little more careful not to get it in places where I don't want it. Just want it over here because it's very close to the edge of the stencil. Okay, that should do. Lift that up, and that will have just created a nice little spot down there. Okay, and the last little bit is going to be to bring over a silk screen of your choice. I'm using this one because it's got a nice spiral pattern around here. And make sure that this is completely dry. If you need to pop that in the oven for a couple of minutes just to heat set it, then I would recommend doing that. I'm just going to grab a silk screen. Any silk screen will work. I'm just going to pop it down so that it's covering that spot there. And I'm going to tap it down lightly. I don't want it, because I've got a sticky back on these, I don't want it to stick too much, just a little bit. And I'm going to be using black paint just so we create a focal point essentially. Just need a little bit, don't need too much. And I'm going to be using this again, covering the whole thing, and then I should hold that while I'm doing that. Stamp that through so that I get an uneven effect rather than a full-blown impression. And it is going to overlap, that's fine. I'm just really pushing it through that silk screen, that should work. And lift it up, and we get a really nice kind of messy tiled effect, and that is going to be our main attraction. Clean your silk screen immediately, don't leave it to soak in the water. If you're using one of mine, you want to clean that immediately, and let this dry while you're doing that. Okay, and there we go, I let it dry. One thing I did after this piece was I actually took my little plastic blades again and dipped them in a bit of black paint and just created a few streaks up here just so it ties in, because black doesn't appear anywhere else throughout the piece, and I thought it looked a little odd that it was just here, so I've tied it in over there, and I think that helps a lot. And I've heat set it in the oven for another hour, or not another hour, sorry, another 5 minutes, just so that that paint is on there and the alcohol ink is all dried up and it's all set. Now we're going to be putting this behind a pane of glass. If you were going to be using this for anything like a bowl or say a pendant, if it was smaller anyways, you would want to seal it, but we're going to be putting it behind glass, so you shouldn't need to seal it. You do want to keep this away from sunlight when you're displaying it in your house if you're going to do that, because the alcohol ink will fade in direct sunlight, so just keep that in mind. If you don't want that, then find something else other than alcohol ink to work with. Watercolor paint works quite well as well, though acrylic is my favourite in opinion. But I'm going to bring this over, and all you need to do is just make sure that it is completely dry. And I'm going to flip that over and just place that in. And before I actually attach the backing, let me just have a look, make sure that that glass is clean. And I think that works nicely. See, it's nice and easy, it's quite fun, and yeah, I'm actually quite happy with how that turned out. So make sure the glass is clean, then you can add in your backing, and then I will just use a pair of pliers to bend these little pieces down so that we secure the back. Okay, I just took a little bit of time to do that. And there we go. Now you've got your piece in a little frame, and you can use any frame you want. I just got this from the dollar store, it's really cheap, and you can actually, because it's not too difficult to remove the back, you can make a couple of these and swap them out whenever you want, but I really am quite happy with how that has gone. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. I haven't done a photo frame before, but I think it's quite nice. It might be a nice way to use canes as well, so I may do this again in the future. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like this video, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing, as I do videos every single week. And if you'd like to support the channel further, there is a join button to become a member of the channel, or a link to Patreon in the description below. Any support there is greatly appreciated. And again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.